On this week's show, ponytails in rugby, yay or nay?
James Lowe starred in Under Siege 2, whilst Steven Seagal qualifies for Ireland in 2021.
Would you let Josh van der Fleer marry your daughter and girlfriend?
Did slim fit jerseys exclude the inclusion of fat rugby players? Exclude the inclusion. What the flip am I talking about?
Joe presents Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby, together with Guinness.
Hello and you're very welcome to Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby here on Joe, together with Guinness. It's Sunday morning. Tá Grian ag Tana Valon sa spare Ibalia Ahiclia, and we are the number one team in the world again. A few weeks ago, when everyone was crying and everyone was like, what's going on? We invited you into the Baz and Andrew House of Rugby soup kitchen to comfort you and tell you that it would all be all right. And look, we were absolutely right. On the couch to discuss this with me this morning, we have ever-present Trimby. How are you?
Oh, great.
Good. Jerry Flannery. How are you?
Good.
And very, very special guest, gum shield grinning, gorilla glutes gleaming, high five hanging, Leinster superstar winger, Mr. James Lowe.
Cheers. Some introduction.
What's the crack? High fives all around? Yep. What's the crack?
Yeah, no, not too much, mate. Thank you very much for having me. It's exciting.
Brilliant. Thanks for coming on, man. We know your Sunday mornings are probably very special and you know, a place where you can kind of relax finally at the end of a hard week.
Yeah.
Did you go to the game yesterday?
No, I didn't go to the game yesterday. Watched it intently at home though. Don't worry.
So you live quite close to the stadium, right?
Yeah. So unfortunately, no, I didn't watch the game. But I've got a fair idea what happened. I live literally next to the Aviva, so whenever there's an event on, I'm either stuck inside or I've got to leave first thing in the morning. So when the football was on midweek, it's all right. You know, I had to argue with the policeman to let me home after work. It's funny because you kind of get there and they either know like who you are or they argue, and like obviously I don't look like I'm from D4, so they're like, you don't live down here. It's like, do you have a bill?
A bill?
Like a electricity bill with
You're
my address on it. It's just like, no, I don't carry around my electricity bills. Like, I've got my house keys if you want to come over. But yeah, it's an interesting time.
Oh God, that's crazy. So you did see the game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watched the highlights. I myself and Scott Fardy talked up Rob Carney during the week, and he delivered. The old boys still got it, you know. So good to get the victory, Ireland. When I turned back onto my street yesterday, the Welsh bus was coming through, and it was white, sort of blacked out, you know, along the sides. And as I turned, it was coming down, and all I could see was Warren Gatlin sort of sitting there, no expression on his face, arms folded. So yeah, I'm sure that there could have been a interesting ride home, but. No, good afternoon.
Yeah, you go to the game?
I did, yeah. Gatlin wasn't happy after the game, was he?
Well, he wasn't happy in the bus ride home either.
Yeah, because the press conference, he was giving off about Ireland's style of rugby again. Off nine, and then give it to Bundy a key. But, I mean, to me, it's a bit sore, isn't it, of Gatlin? There's always this...
I'd like to see the difference between Gatlin when they win, getting on the bus, and they see the bus coming towards you. Warren Gatlin's at the front of the bus.
Yeah, he's always pretty pissed off looking, isn't he?
Yeah.
So you were working at the game?
Yeah.
Again?
Myself and Dunners were doing the Vodafone thing, and we...
Is that the same people all the time?
No, not at all.
It's the same stories, I'm sure, all the time, is it?
Well, we changed it up a little bit just in case there was any overlap.
Okay.
But
sorry, I totally undersold you there.
The Ireland team that was selected for the Italy game was a reflection of the corporates that were invited to that game.
Ooh.
And then you've got your Johnny Sexton, Murray's, Henshaw, Earls. All the big names are back, and then all the big name corporates are back in the room.
Go away.
You know, he was there, the singer Dermot Kennedy.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fuck.
I know, as soon as I heard his name, I was like, Barry will be so jealous.
You chanted him?
No, I wouldn't even recognise him. I just heard he was there. And I didn't even
confirm. Yeah, I'd say I enjoy his music. Yeah.
He's unreal.
Yeah. I haven't seen him live. I'll tell you what, I'd fanboy if he...
I fanboyed him last year at Electric Picnic. I went over and told him, had a few pints in me. I went over and told him that his set at Picnic was like a mind-blowing, life-changing experience. And what do you say to that? Like, he was just like, thanks.
Yeah.
And then I walked away, and my brother was like, did you get a photo with him? I was like, no, I didn't get it. He was like, come on, we'll go back over and I get a photo. So I got a photo of him, totally fangirled him. But he's class.
Yeah.
He wasn't performing it, he was just...
No. Actually, I didn't even confirm. Like, just Donegal before the lads came in. Murray, Jack Conan, and Josh came in afterwards. But before they came in, Donegal was preparing a bit, and I came into another room, and Donegal was kind of snuck off in the corner, and he was writing stuff down. And he was writing lyrics down because he must have had some big gag anyway. He thought it was going to land. I think he bottled it in the end and didn't go for it.
Didn't do it.
Yeah, so I don't know what happened there, but anyway, so we just had a chat with Murray and the boys.
Yeah.
It's funny slagging Murray because Murray gives a bit back.
Does he, yeah?
Yeah. And I've got this thing with Murray where he doesn't trust me, you know. But because we've been doing the podcast for so long and it's usually long form discussion chats, you can't just slag someone for an hour. You're like one-liner after one-liner but that's what he kind of would think I'm going to deliver. And then I did it once, and then I had a serious question and it bombed. Because he's just looking
expecting for a joke, yeah.
Yeah, and he's defense. You know, he's kind of defensive. Yeah. Anyway, but that's the way. Anyway, you get a bit out of Murray.
Murray's great. Back to his best at the weekend, I thought.
Oh, wasn't he?
Yeah. Class. Fly didn't go to the game, did you? No, I know this.
No, I watched it a couple of times. Yeah, it was fucking awesome game.
Yeah. Anything else going on for the weekend?
No, went to the cinema.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Correct.
Yeah.
Some show.
Have you seen it?
No.
Okay, good.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. I have children now, man. I can't do these things.
I love the way, like, any story you tell is pre-kids.
Yeah.
Any funny, interesting, you're going to be such a boring host from now on. You're
All
very
your
bad
current
for
stories
it.
have been about baby shit, man.
Quite aware of it. Baby shit, literally. The girl baby woke up the boy baby with a fart last night.
They have names.
They do. That's the
With the fart.
With the fart. He started crying, so that's the most exciting part of my weekend.
Yeah.
The film was good.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Class.
Tarantino
Got a
at his best.
babysitter, got out for like 3-4 hours. It was brilliant. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I loved it. I was glued to it. There's a bit, the Bruce Lee scene
Yeah.
was...
So slick, isn't it? The way he's just taking all these... Like, I didn't really know the Manson murder story that well, but I kind of had a feeling. I said, I think this is kind of loosely based on some... And then, like, when I saw Bruce Lee in there, I was like, fuck, this is so cool. It was awesome, yeah.
Yeah, you need to go and see it if you get 5 minutes.
I will. I'll get out during the week. James, how's your summer been? Pre-season, it's kind of going to be a long one this year.
Yeah,
three months.
It literally feels like we've been in together for so long, yet we've had so much break in between it all. I had to get shoulder surgery at the end of last season, so literally the Friday after the game, I was put under the knife and came out. The surgery all went well. About 3.5 months post at the moment.
Did you get home then after? Did you get home to New Zealand? No, you stuck around
I
here?
bloody wish.
Ireland's home now, sure.
Yeah, Ireland's home. Yeah. So, you know, like they didn't want me to travel. I was literally in rehabbing, not even a week after, 3-4 days after they tried to get me in. So that there was a bit of crack. Managed to actually get away to Greece with my girlfriend. We met the rest of the foreigners over there. We went to Eos for a week, and then we went over to Mykonos, caught up with them. So, yeah, that there was awesome. Drank the place dry, Mythos. Literally sat by the pool. It was kind of good for them because they've got kids, and we were in kind of like a villa sort of setting. So, you know, like obviously their days, Scott and Jamo, because they have kids, their days are based around, you know, the sleeping patterns of the young ones. And he'd just sleep upstairs and just come down to the pool, and we'll just literally sit in the pool all day.
Sipping cocktails.
Not quite cocktails, just pints, and yeah, it was an awesome time. Then back here, went to Canada a couple of weeks ago for a pre-season trip. Myself and Jamison both injured, don't know why we were on the trip, but just over there rehabbing and taking in the sights and sounds.
Where were you, Toronto?
Yeah, Toronto. Well, we were based just out of Toronto in a very affluent part, about 40 minutes out. Beautiful, like so stereotypical, you know, the big wooden houses, the wooden shutters, very, very green. And then we went out into Toronto for one night. One of my friends from when I was very, very young, he lives over there. He's a bit of a drifter, so we went and hung out with him for a night, and then the game went well. Yeah.
The Canadians know their rugby, don't they?
Yeah. So I was running the tee, and I'm getting these messages from my girlfriend, and she's just like, "You're lucky you're not listening to this on Facebook Live." Like, the commentator literally, the first words that came out of his mouth was, "I'm sorry, I don't know the rules." So yeah, she said it was very, very American. He had no idea what was going on. But yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. When you say your mate was a drifter, tell me about that.
Yeah, well, like he's a free spirit. You know, he's up for everything. I think the Canadian lifestyle suits him down to a T. You know, he's the people over there, they're very open-minded. They're up for anything. They're cool. They were very welcoming, though. I'll tell you that. Like, we're at bars and that, people very, very friendly. You know, well, obviously looked a little bit different, but like everyone was just so interactive and was yarning to us away. And man, my friend could chew the ear off anyone. You know, he can make friends in weird places. He's now on the other side. He's in Vancouver randomly now. Like, I don't even know what he's up to. Yeah, that's his life at the moment. He's really enjoying it. It's good to see him, you know, on this side of the world, really taking it on.
That's a Kiwi thing, though, right? It's
it seems like it.
You know, I suppose you're so far cut off from the rest of the world that like when you get that opportunity to get out, like I remember growing up, man, and there was like every fucking few months there was a different Kiwi would show up on our door in Limerick, and they'd end up staying on our couch for a few weeks. And,
it was arranged though, like.
You mean just random Kiwis knocking on the door? Like.
Not another one.
That was like Isaac Boss. Bossy was like
yeah.
Not that he would turn up at your door, but he kind of just was it was a bit of it. He would have been a drifter if he hadn't played rugby. I would have thought.
Yeah.
He would just go if we had a week off. He would go on holiday by himself. If it didn't suit anybody else, he kind of days off. He would just travel around the country.
Yeah,
kind of that's.
You got to understand like where he's from though. He's from Tokoroa. So, and that there is very, very small. Not stereotypically not a very nice place as well. I'm talking like there's one high school and there's not very much going on. So, I'm sure when he got over here, he was licking his lips. The fact that
Quade Cooper's from there as well, isn't he?
Yeah, Quade Cooper.
He took us for a trip when we were on tour there. Me and Tommy went for a road trip with Bossy.
Oh yeah.
Took us to visit Tokoroa.
Yeah.
And we went to visit his like old rugby his old rugby club, and there were two Maori guys on the pitch, like no one else for miles, and they were just on the pitch practicing their pick and goes, smashing each other. And then we went over and did like what do you call that?
A hongi.
Hongi thing.
Yeah.
Bossy was like, "Here, give them a hongi, they'll love that." So. That's Tokoroa.
Yeah.
Was this 2006? Remember
Maybe. No, it was later than that. Because I think Bossy was on that one. He wasn't actually on tour, but he was just home at the time.
I remember we played. Where did the Chiefs play? Is it Hamilton? Yeah. We played the All Blacks in Hamilton, and then that night, we went to a party, and we went out to a club, and then Bossy was like, "Let's go back to." He had a house somewhere that he's renting out to all these students, and we all went back there, like, and we were back to like, "What were you doing?" So we were playing New Zealand earlier on today, and we were like having a house party in Bossy's gaff. That's it. No more stories.
So take us back to being back home. Like, was it always the dream growing up to be a professional rugby player? Was it
always a dream to play for Ireland one day?
Yes.
We'll get to that. We'll get there.
Yeah, I guess like growing up, like I'm not from like a big place. I'm from a place called Nelson, which is at the top of the South Island, and it's like in the city centre. There's about 60,000 people. So we don't quite have a university. Like we've got like kind of a polytech, you know. So a few high schools, you kind of go to high school and then you go off to your universities and that. But growing up, I was always into sport, everything under the sun. My parents were very, very encouraging for me to stay with sport. They saw how much enjoyment I got from it. So, I just, kids have like all these toys around home now and they're playing on iPads. Man, you could give me a ball and I'd entertain myself for hours in the backyard. I grew, like kind of like in our street, I guess there were a whole load of kids as well. So like literally, like I remember coming home like when the it was when the street lights came on. That's kind of when you had to be home, sort of thing. And like there was a school 100 metres away, there was a field another 100 metres away. There was they were actually building a highway, it's called the Southern Link, like another 100 metres away. So we'd always go playing like the big tubes and stuff, the big pipes going on down there, and like we just entertained ourselves with sport. And a lot of my friends, they could have been, if they had stuck at sport, we were. I don't know, when you have a kid and you think, yeah, my kid's the best at everything, and like I could see so many of my friends being professional sportsmen if they had stuck at it. And yeah, like a lot of them, they enjoy what they do now. They went to university and got their degrees, really enjoyed life down there. But I mean,
that's the standard of player that was,
there's
as kids.
so much talent.
And like,
yeah,
you still like look like you play the game like you're having fun. Like I'm saying, you grinning through your gum shield, you still look like you have that attitude that you're just there having fun and you're with your mates in the street. Has that changed in New Zealand? Like as you said, like it's back then it was playing in the street. Has it changed now? Do you reckon back home? Is it because that's what everyone says? The beauty of New Zealand rugby is that the kids just play ball all day, and that's why they're so good. Is that still the same?
Yeah, I can't see it being that much different. Obviously with technology and everything's so accessible and that, and I guess parents are probably looking after their kids a bit more. But like, man, if I went down, especially in my little, I guess my suburb, there'll still be kids running around bare feet, turning up to school in bare feet and in the middle of winter, and I don't see it changing that much. It was fun though, it was so free. Now you're stressing about everything. There's so many different things. You're scared what everyone else is doing, and but no, I don't think it will change anytime soon. No.
Tyler, I asked.
He's a posh kid. You got to remember that.
Okay, right. I didn't know. But I asked Tyler. I said, like, what's the difference, man? Like, what, like, for Ireland to beat the All Blacks, so much stuff has to go right for Ireland. Like their set piece has to go right. They got to get their kicking game. Everything has got to go right. Whereas when you're playing the All Blacks, like I was like, what? The difference is their skill set's so much higher. He just said, listen, we played the game informally from a really young age. He said, I'd be like playing touch with my granddad and shit that on the beach. So you're constantly developing your skill set all the time. Whereas I think that there's a bit too much of a focus on the power side of the game up here. Like I think it's catching up, but that's the difference. Is the players are generally.
I feel like when I first came here, I remember going down to Donnybrook and watching the schoolboys, and in terms of like there was so much structure in a schoolboy system, and like you're seeing them coming from an edge and going to like they'll have like two pods set up in the middle of the field and they'll be buzzing it and people will be running lines and stuff. And I mean I'm going back and I'm trying to think when I was 18 playing schoolboy rugby, I'm like, man, we just threw the ball around sort of thing and like give it to the biggest kid and hopefully he does something and then we'll all just run around. It's probably not as unstructured as that, but like when I came over here, I thought, man, this is mental how well drilled everyone is. And yeah.
I heard Gordon Darcy talking about meeting Steve Hansen for a coffee before, maybe it was the last time Ireland played New Zealand in November, and he was talking to Steve about what Ireland, or does he know what Ireland are going to do the weekend, or do you reckon Ireland know exactly how New Zealand are going to play? And his answer was like the Wednesday before the game. He was like, man, I don't even know how we're going to play at the weekend. Like we don't have that much structure to our game. Is that the reality? Having seen both sides of the fence, I know you haven't worked with Joe Schmidt, but I suppose being close to a lot of the lads, that they seem to have work with so much structure. Do New Zealand not work with that kind of structure, or is he playing it down a bit?
He's probably playing it down a little bit. Like, obviously, there's you have to put structure into rugby. People need to know where they go, but also there's that huge emphasis on just playing footy as well. Like you could from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're planning against the team that your best guess, you think, like you're guessing what they're going to do, but they're doing the exact same thing. So they could be defending a specific way for 6 months prior, targeting the All Blacks and going, well, we're not going to do that against them because obviously they've seen us do that, and then they just completely flip it. So it's best guess. But in terms of like a structure, like they'll go in having a rough idea of exactly what they're going to do. But I mean, it's going to completely change, and they're just so good at heads-up rugby. And I think, especially with Mwanga and Barrett kind of pulling the strings, and imagine having both of them on both sides of the ruck. You just don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, it's always best guess, and you know.
Yeah. No, I think I like the idea that they're holding their cards close to their chest as well. The All Blacks, you know, I made the point a few weeks ago. I think they were just throwing the ball around for the first few games of the championship this year, and just getting used to playing beside each other.
Yeah, it was
again.
I remember watching them against like South Africa or something, and like they'd come off an edge, you know, and they'd just send like two forwards, and then they'd go like 5-10 metres back to Barrett, who'd sitting there, and like you'd never seen that before, and you just don't know what sort of games. Like you're just showing as many pitches as you can. It's like, well, we're going to do one of these when we play against you, you know. So I think there is a little bit of that leading up to a World Cup as well.
Yeah. Okay, so take us then from when you were over in New Zealand. I think you got injured just before you were hoping to maybe make a little bit of a breakthrough into the All Blacks side, and then the opportunity came to end up here.
Yeah.
How's it been? What was the transition like, and how you find yourself now?
Yeah, man, it's like it's crazy how like close things could have been so different. You know, like so I think it was like 2015. So we got knocked out in the semis. The Chiefs. We played the Hurricanes up there. We got knocked out. It was like the Monday, so I was actually catching a taxi with I think Sam Cane, and the All Blacks coach had messaged me because the Hurricanes were playing the Highlanders. Obviously the Hurricanes had, you know, Julian Savea. The Highlanders had Wasaki Naholo. They were both All Black wingers. They were playing against Samoa over there. It was I wouldn't say an exhibition match, but it was awesome. Like they were obviously, New Zealand were always going to win that if they didn't send their best team, you know. And with the Rugby Championship coming up, it was a good chance to try and bleed people in. People had been playing well, and literally got a text. It was like, hey, like you want to catch up for a coffee tomorrow, sort of thing. I'll give you work-ons, things that we need to do, because they just announced the team. You know, they 33-man squad for the championship, but with this game not being in the championship, other people were going to play. And so I went and met the coach, and he was like, literally, if you didn't need surgery, because I was getting surgery, you know, like a week later, and he would have been like, yeah, you would have been. You literally, we would have taken you over there. So it could have happened just like that, you know. And thank God for. I remember when I hurt my shoulder, it was Jordan Taufua, who's actually going over to Leicester Tigers. Him running down the sideline, just absolutely walloping me, and that's how I hurt my shoulder. So really, we should be thanking him.
Right. Yeah.
And then you flip it on its head. I think it was like 2017. Obviously, I was going off contract the year after. Had really no intention of leaving New Zealand, you know, and then I guess that was at the start, and then I guess, you know, people start talking. I start, like, my mindset almost starts to change. I'm going, all right, I'm 24, going to be 25. Like, do I still want to be an All Black? Yeah, I do. But the opportunity to obviously come over here, challenge myself outside the safety net of, you know, family and friends, a huge experience, massive opportunity. Come over here, play footy at the highest level. You know, like, obviously I would like to do that when I was 32, you know, stay there, be an All Black, get 50 tests. But then, like, I kind of realised, like, man, I've been playing good footy for the last 3 years and I haven't made it. I'm not there. And I sat in the car talking to my dad on the phone, and he's like, yeah, man, I thought you were going to be an All Black by now. Like,
what a disappointment.
Yeah, you know. So, and then I was like, Dad, like, I mean, there's this offer on the table, like, I might go. And he's like, mate, well, you know, we'll support you, whatever you want to do. So, and yeah, like, I guess in terms of like coming over here, like, it was kind of, obviously, with the contract, it was like, yeah, we want you in 3 years' time to play for Ireland. That was kind of the reasoning why I was offered, like, someone in my position who hadn't been an All Black yet. So, yeah, and then, you know, came over here. Transition's been awesome. Still got, 14, 15 months until, I guess, I'm Irish. We're trying to get, like, finalise everything now. And, I mean, who knows? It's a potential, yeah.
Would you, whenever that was announced back home, would you got some criticism from like a few New Zealanders?
Not players, you know. Like, players obviously understand, and I think it's changing. It's changing huge back home. Like, obviously, I've still got a lot of friends who are playing there, but they're starting to talk with each other in terms of like a financial thing. Like, mate, it's going to be over soon. Like, you're going to be lucky if you get to 35. Like, you need to build up as much as you can before you're 35 to make sure, you know, you can do 2 years, whatever you want, figuring out what exactly you need to do to make sure you can, you know, retire happy.
Yeah, it's the careers are going to get shorter and shorter. People are going to be retiring.
That's it. Like, I mean, you think about concussion. Like, there's like more career endings happening.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a matter of time before the window keeps getting smaller. But yeah, the boys are talking back home, and they're like, well, okay, if that person's the number one and he's getting X amount of money, I'm number two. Like, if he gets injured, I'm moving to their number one spot. I'm not worth half of what he's worth, you know. And they're talking with each other, and then going back to the employer and being like, look, like, if he gets injured, I'm the number one. I'm not worth half him. So that there's also changing, and you know, like, I guess financially, it's a lot nicer over here, especially being from New Zealand. You literally, you know, it's like $1.60, like for €1, $1.65. Like it's in a way like that, it's a no-brainer, and there was I guess a big motivating factor, but like, you know, my head and heart's here, man. Like I'm really enjoying it. So like, you can say whatever you want financially, but like, if you're a postman and the dude down the road said, "Oh, I'm going to pay you more," come on, like, you're going to do it, you know. So when you put it into perspective, and the people who normally say mean things, they're ones who like they've never sat in the seat. They've never had to deal with these sort of these stresses. They've never had to put it into perspective.
Posh kids like Tyler.
That was a wee bit mean on Tyler. He's actually one of the nicest men that I've ever met. We played when he was at the Crusaders when I was like 18, 19 is when I first met him. He's a year or two older than me, but he was very, very welcoming, you know, when I first went down there. So that was a little bit mean on
I didn't take it personally.
Yeah. Please.
When you say people are being mean, do you mean like, so everyone on Twitter criticised? I think this week in particular has been, you know, it's been quite hot on Twitter with what happened to between Dev and John Klein getting in ahead of him.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean when people are being mean?
Yeah. That's the nice way that people are being mean. You know, like I don't know. Like I think social media is awesome in so many ways, and I think it's stupid in just as many ways. You know, like you can't, like, obviously Joe saw something in Klein that he didn't see in Dev. You know, and like, you got to respect the decision. Like, this man's from all accounts has been awesome for Ireland, and like, even since I've been here, he's been very, very good. So he's obviously got the master plan. Not going to tell you the master plan, but unfortunately it just didn't include Dev. You know, Dev's one of the nicest men I know as well. So absolutely heartbroken for him. So, but it's the roller coaster of rugby.
Yeah, a few of our Penguins were right, weren't they? We never spoke about this actually. A few of our
With the
they
called it.
Yeah, squads. Yeah, fair play to them.
No, our Penguins they're all over.
Thank you very much, Penguins.
They're very reliable Penguins.
Keep.
You could be a Penguin for us on the inside.
Insider trading stuff.
Yeah, Penguins. The mood has somewhat lifted. It was quite down on the Penguins were quite down during the week, kind of.
Our Penguins are fickle, aren't they?
Yeah, they're delighted again after the win at the weekend. So keep rating and reviewing and all that crack, because producer Spat, who is now producer Stat, because he keeps lobbing stats at us today, and he's got a very fancy little microphone with him today.
If only everybody could see this microphone, yeah.
He loves a rate and a review. To the Irish match, give us some of those stats.
Yes, all right. Opta were very good as well, so it's not just me crunching numbers here on my own, it's just getting in touch with a boffin over in Opta about them, but there's some brilliant ones about the Irish forwards, because I noticed during the game that the Irish forwards basically didn't miss a tackle for the entire game, and so I kind of wanted to get, and myself and Trimby were talking about it, and he said how many of those tackles he wondered were dominant then as well. So got in touch with Opta, and they got back to us, and so the Irish forwards, starters and subs, made 71 tackles, and they didn't miss a single one. 5 of those tackles were dominant then as well. And you compare that to the Welsh, they made 138, missed 4, and they only made 1 dominant tackle for the whole game. So the forwards.
No wonder he was so upset.
Yeah. Well, as Gatlin said, the way to stop Ireland is winning the collisions, and Ireland absolutely dominated them there yesterday.
Cool. Please.
Kilcoyne and Rhys Ruddock, when he came on, had 2 dominant shots. He had 3 shots in about 30 seconds, and 2 of them were massive hits when he came in. So I thought, like, you're right, man. I thought Ireland's ability to win collisions and win gain line was awesome.
The bench in general produced a big impact, I thought. Across the board, Ringrose went well, Rhys went well, Kilcoyne, Sean Cronin, Ian Henderson, all went well, all created impact. Because I know Joe puts a big emphasis on his bench.
Yeah.
And we didn't see that last week. We definitely didn't see it the week before. We kind of dropped off. Again, this is kind of what we talked about. Whenever we got hammered by England, the boys are just knackered. And they're just slightly fresher last week. And then now it looks like they're feeling good and they're kind of feeling confident and fresh. And then obviously that correlated to an 80-minute performance. Bench coming on, producing another bit of impact. So I thought it was a pretty impressive performance. It wasn't a great game, was it? It was okay. No. It was more of a test match than the last couple, but like it wasn't an entertaining game really, unless you were a purist. It was just nice to see.
I think it was going to open up after about 60 minutes. It would have been if it was a Six Nations game, it would have opened up. He wouldn't have taken off some of the best players, and I think it would have been a more exciting finish. But because they were on a hiding to nothing, it was like just take everyone off and get through it. So, like the criticisms over the last few weeks have been Ireland struggling to get into any kind of rhythm or form because lineouts and scrums maybe haven't been one of the reasons why. They haven't been operating as well. The weekend they still didn't go brilliantly, but we still got, possession-wise, we controlled, I think, 73% of possession in the second half and controlled the game largely. What do you think that was down to? What did we change that was better this week?
I think it's unfair to criticise the scrum. I thought the Welsh scrum improved a lot. I'd said last week's show I thought the Welsh were going to struggle with their scrum, but they stepped up quite well. But I thought Ireland played well off their scrum, and they have done consistently. The line-out started poorly. I think James Ryan, it was a good opportunity for him to show that he could be a secondary caller. If you were to look at, say, maybe if they were to go with Ian Henderson going out with Dev being taken out, I know just from working with John, I know that John isn't up to speed yet with calling lineouts. Tyg Byrne can call, but then if they have Ian Henderson and now they have James Ryan as well, who's shown he can call at that level, and it was a slow start. But Ireland, I think Ireland got some reasonably good delivery. They generally true to 2 in nearly all of their lineouts, apart from a couple when Sean Cronin came on. They went to middle back and they won some ball that they mauled off.
But they're going to struggle with their launch though if their lineout becomes conservative, just to make sure they win the lineout, and then they're all going to narrow up and they're not going to get.
Yeah, but put yourself in their position. Like they went into the English game and their lineout was ripped apart. So then the criticism then is that if England are going to give you the front, you have to be able to take the ball there and do something off it. You have to have a plan, which they did over the last 2 weeks. It's just that if you really want to challenge the bigger teams, you don't want to be throwing these 15-metre passes, because you saw like when for Bigger's interception, they took the ball off 2 in the line out off a 5-man. They went down and give, but Bigger just cheated. Bigger just flew in the defensive line. So then they had by the time James Ryan won the ball, brought it down, delivered it to Murray, and then Murray ripped that pass across. Dan Bigger was halfway up the pitch, and then when Sexton dropped the ball off, he had intercepted it. Whereas if they'd won that ball at the tail, it would have sat them down that much more, and they would have got another 7-8 metres. They could have attacked the channel wider. Yeah. So I think that's something that they'll probably look to bring into their game. Or it's something that if they want to really stretch the tier 1 teams.
Leinster are actually quite clever with their lineouts. Whenever they go to the front, often they get Sean Cronin. They managed to get Sean Cronin kind of scooting, so they don't have the long pass from 9 to 10.
I watch you play the Scarlets, and I watch yourself and Daly.
An accusation.
We're coming in like I'd watch. Sorry,
guilty.
Sorry. Yeah. No, I remember when I was watching, I said like they're just packing. They're just taking ball at 2 in the line out here. They're just mauling it, but then they go with a short hit up just outside the 15, and then yourself or Barry Daly, I think it was, were coming in and playing 9 then just to speed it up.
Yeah. Like there's all these, like, obviously, like when we go back to the plans, like if they're D'ing at the back, you're going to have to go to the front. Like there's no point in throwing up 50-50 with 2 pods standing at the back, and then when it does go to the front, your plan might change. So yeah, we go around the edges, and then whoever's there just throws it, and we go off there. You're trying to trap a whole forward pack that's been mauling, and then we go again, and it's just backs against backs. It's when the maul, you go to the front, the maul, they get a hit, they don't have people on the ground, and then they get around the corner. Then I don't want to go around the corner if there's a forward pack there, you know.
But I think Ireland, for me, they despite not having a brilliant platform, again, they were able to vary up their attack in terms of lines of running, and I think that Murray's passing was incredible at the weekend, and the speed of the ball, and it wasn't just about us winning collisions. It was a little bit of everything. Like he obviously knew that he wanted to get quick ball. I kind of talked about it last week, where I thought our 9 to 10 pass was quite short, and or even 9 to first receiver pass has been quite short for the last 6 months. I think in the Six Nations it was the same. When we beat the All Blacks, when we've been at our best in the past, it's like we're creating a little bit more space by taking out those first 3 or 4 defenders with a long pass, or attackers are coming from different angles, and there's just a lot more going on. Like you saw at the weekend, if CJ was a first receiver, he would have an inside option off him, which we haven't had for Ireland. I think our runners have been really kind of just stop, start, and standing and taking the ball, and no threat. So I think it just shows for me that a lot of emphasis has been put on the line out and the scrum and getting our platform so right, and I think that's the way Joe likes to play. But if that's not going right, we still have to have good enough basics that we can still, you know, play a better game, rather than just when shit goes wrong we just go all tight and get anxious, you know.
It's like James is saying, the ability to adapt on field. Like you can have a plan, and then when that plan is being, you just switch the focus slightly. So if they're potting at the tail, if you want to go and hit in a wider channel, you want to go to an edge, and they're potting there, well, you can't just say, well, we're going to go with the plan anyway, and we're potentially lose the ball. I think there's probably twofold to it, and I think the when you're winning collisions, then it's obviously so much easier to get that ball and take advantage of something like Murray's passing. I thought the speed that he was moving the ball and how accurate it was, like for people running onto it. But you're not always going to win collisions against real quality sides. So I think the ability to be really early with the targeting and to try and win that metre beyond the ball to create the space for Murray then is a big difference. And I think Wales were cynical with that, particularly inside in the 22. And that's probably, you looked at for Rob's try, for Rob Kearney's try, CJ just ran over Patchell, and then it's there, it's on a plate, and Murray just rips it, and then Sexton puts it into Rob's hand and he finishes it. But I think that their ability then in the second half, the more that they can actually get the Welsh bodies a metre beyond the ball, clear them beyond the ball, that makes a big difference.
See, it slowed down a couple of times in round halfway, and then once their Ireland's phase play kind of dries up, or you don't get that kind of impact of that gain line, then once or twice we looked a wee bit aimless, and then we had to go to the air. When you're going to the air against Wales, you've got bigger halfpenny, or maybe Liam Williams or George North. You know, like those aren't contests you're gonna fancy yourself.
No, but man, if you watch the kick chase,
we did well.
Yeah, it was outstanding. Like we didn't get into the contest to challenge for the ball, but when that player landed, the blast, like Jordan Lamore, I don't know, someone didn't he turn the ball over. Am I getting his name wrong again? Am I?
He was playing for France at the weekend.
What do you call him, man?
Jordan Larmour, isn't it? What is it?
Yeah, in default's Lama. Yeah.
Where is it? What is it in Limerick?
Lamore. Okay, he's Larmour. All right. Yeah. But I thought, you're right. The fact that they went off kicking off 9, and it was effective for them. Like it wasn't so much about getting to the contest in the air, but their tackle blast was really good. The blasting, getting through and disrupting them, I thought was really effective.
Did you notice in their phase play, Johnny getting taken out again?
If you're playing like if Jonathan's on your team, you look after him. Okay, if you're playing against him, you go after him.
Absolutely.
You go after the talisman. You go after the man that you know dictates so much of the game.
There's a little bit of afters as well, because I think it was Jake Ball took him out, and then there's a little bit of slabbering. I'm certain Johnny was giving a little bit back.
Oh, without a doubt. Jonathan hasn't been on the pitch in that long. He's got all this rage built up. You know, he just doesn't matter who hit him. But that's literally what you do. It's kind of like with Murray, like playing against probably Munster. Like he passes it, you get in his way, you make him go around you, you try to get him on the deck, every little thing like that. Because if you slow down to 9 or you keep 10 on the ground, it's a huge, like that extra 2 seconds, you get set, you get a little bit wider, you get a little bit more line speed, you get a little bit more connected. And that, like, cheating without getting caught, you know, it's all part of the game.
For some reason, cheating, obviously, like in the context of the game, Jake Ball's going, right, I've had a blinder here, I've took Johnny out of the phase play, and it probably dried up actually because Johnny wasn't available for the next couple of phases because he was rolling right, looking for attention. Yeah. But so there's the game, like the success that Jake Ball got in terms of the game, but just getting under Johnny's skin is very satisfying. Oh yeah. He's a man you can get red mist out of very easily. Yeah. I got out of him, and he would have got out of me occasionally as well. You'd be good mates with Johnny, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I am good mates with him, and I said this earlier on in the week. We go to the same dude to get a haircut, and he actually forgot to pay. So like we pay by cash, and he had quite a busy day. It was his day off. He had kicking and physio and all that, and he said, "Oh, I'll come back later," sort of thing. And I was back like 4 hours later into the bar. He's like, "Yeah, Jonathan hasn't paid for his haircut." Like, and obviously, like Jonathan was going to go pay for his haircut, and I just thought this perfect opportunity. I'm going to pay for his haircut. I'm going to have a one-up on him. When I get an opportunity, I'm going to tell the world just to make sure. And yeah, literally later on that night, it was about 6 o'clock, and he rang, so he must have gone in to pay. He goes, "Oh my God, like I knew," and like, you know, I'm like, yes, it's the way of the world, mate. Anything to get one up on Jonathan.
That's quite a diverse portfolio of haircuts. You on one end of the scale and Johnny on the other.
Yeah,
this guy can do everything.
Yeah, he can. He is a very good barber, and you know, like, part and parcel, you got to be able to chat as well. And you know, he does a lot of them. Dave Carney was actually in just before me as well. So
I'm admiring it from here. There's probably people don't. You've got it taken up. It's shaved beneath that. What's that called?
I don't know. I just asked for a tidy up. So for literally, it must have been about 28 months, I didn't do anything because I only get it cut from one barber back home. It's like one of my mates that I trusted enough. And then when I came over here, I went home in January, and I told him I was going to a wedding. I was like, I just need it tidied up, like around the sides. And he's like, sweet, I'll do it. But when you go back to Ireland, you're going to have to like maintain it, or else it starts getting really, I guess, messy. You know, different lengths of hair, literally like hair, different lengths. And I went in.
Your hair will grow.
Yes. Yeah. But you know, when Jesus.
There's a little bit of detail there.
There's a bit of detail.
It's not going to stay like this, James.
But yeah, and I went into this barber, and I literally sat him down. I was like, "You can't fuck my hair up, all right? Like, this is my pride and joy at the moment." And he's like, "Don't worry, I'll make sure like we're on the same page here." Like, he was sweating as I was like grilling him, but he does a very, very good job in Rainlow.
Yeah, there's a bit of detail there. That looks like a haircut that Joe would appreciate the detail.
You just walked in with a picture of Steven Seagal and said, this is who I want to be here.
This is it.
But your hair was it long when you played back home?
I don't know what it was. I was literally like one New Year's when I was a bit drifting, you know. I was like, "No, I'm just
Barry's house."
Yeah. I was just like, "Yeah, I'm just going to grow my hair," and it goes through such an awkward phase because obviously I had a nice and tidy, you know, fade on the side, wee bit of a mop on top. So when it did grow, obviously because the top of my hair was a lot longer than the sides, when it came to tie it up, I had this like awkward like top knot, but then I had the hair all coming along here. So yeah, it's come a long way since then, but it was a lot of awkward.
The ponytail is kind of a contentious one up north in Belfast whenever John O'Gibbs was coaching because we had a guy, Pete Brown, Irish qualified English, second row, and he got his hair to that point where he kind of had a bit of a top knot or a bit of a ponytail, and he arrived out to training and John O'Gibbs goes, "I've never coached anyone with a ponytail, and I'm not about to start today." Take the ponytail out.
Yeah,
that was the end of it.
Great man, John O'Gibbs. He's the boss back home in Chiefs country. Yeah, he's definitely the boss.
He's well thought of.
Very, very highly rated. Anyway, he was the captain of the Maldives when they beat the Lions.
Oh, really?
And what was that, like 2005? Yeah, he was the captain. Yeah, he's very, very highly
How much
hard to
weight
talk
have you
about.
put on? Because when you said the Maoris, you played
I
for.
haven't put on weight.
You played for the Maoris against Munster, did you not?
Yes, yeah.
You did. I remember because I was coaching that day, and you played and it was like weather was brutal,
Oh, yeah.
brutal. But like I remember, like I think Darren Sweetenham scored a try. You were marking Darren Sweetenham. Darren Sweetenham scored a try, and it was announced then that you were coming to Leinster. And I said, "Oh yeah, he was kind of a skinny guy. I remember that guy, James Lowe." And then he came over, and I was like, "What the fuck? How's he getting all swollen, man?"
Yeah, well, I guess like I wasn't skinny. I've never really been skinny, you know. I don't, you know, stress of life, you know. It's
Would you put on a lot of weight? You do a
no,
lot
I
more
haven't.
weights.
It's no, yeah, stress of life. Like, come on, I play
so
rugby.
stressed.
Yeah.
Any kids? No.
No.
Is how heavy you get when you're kids?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I've always like I guess when I was playing Super Rugby, I was playing at about 104. Now I'm about 107 playing. I don't know. It's just I'm enjoying life over here. Guinness tastes very, very good over here as well. So
Plug.
yeah, you're welcome.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
But yeah, like I don't know. Like I'm just a little bit heavier. Like I'm still. It's weird. Like because
You look great. Like.
yeah. Don't get a. I just said
I'm on the defensive
I
right
was,
now.
I was chatting to Posh Tyler and I said, what's the story with James Lowe, man? He was like skinny when he played for the Maoris. He goes, that's just Northern Hemisphere rugby, man. Just loads and loads of weights. I was like, fuck.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That there is probably part of it. How in depth I guess the season is here, and also part of it like back home because you play two different seasons. So you play Super Rugby and you play Mitre 10. So there's a lot of like you're going into different programs. There's not as much of a long build up. You know, the game over here is probably a little bit slower, a little bit more physical, confrontational. You know, so I guess almost in a way you have to be a little bit more prepared to take that sort of those sort of hits. And yeah, like it's just the way of the world.
Yeah.
Literally every Southern Hemisphere rugby player that comes over here, they put on weight, whether it's good or bad.
Because of the longer season, you got to be more robust. I saw it in the Premiership, man. You just see. I remember when Donncha Callaghan went over there, and his whole thing was like he said he went to Worcester, and they were like, I think Donncha was probably like 118, like super, like dude is like unbelievably fit. Has always been something that he's built his game around. And he went over and he said they were like, listen, if you get to 120, we'll be happy with this many meters per minute. If you get to 122, we'll take this many meters. If you get to 125, and I was like, well, when does this stop, man?
Yeah.
If you get to 180, and I suppose it's just because, like you said, you know, once you get into October, like middle of October, the weather starts getting pants again, like, and the ball is slippy, the pitches are hard and soft, and the game becomes so much more about when just bang, bang, bang. So for robustness and the length of the season.
Yeah, I think like actually a point that just came to my head, like I guess like I'm a different sort of winger as well compared to your stereotypical Northern Hemisphere. And if you look across our team, like I guess the other, like you thing like Dave Carney, Barry Daly, Ken Callagher, you know, like we're completely different athletes as well. You know, like they're like I guess like in terms of like I'm very like big hipped. You know, like I like contact. I like
You
that
look, you
sort
were
of.
kind of.
Yeah, I Trimble. No, you know, like, we are different athletes, and we're like what's expected of us with that is also different. Like I don't have to be as fit as them. I can get through 80 minutes perfectly fine. I can back up 80 minutes three games in a row. Like that is all perfectly fine. But what's expected of me, like. Or what Dave does. I can't do what Dave does. But then also when you flip it, like I do different things to Dave, especially in a game as well. Like I may not touch the ball as much, but when I do touch the ball, I try and make sure because I can't go bang, 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 bang. My repeat efforts maybe like what a Dave can do. So yeah, like my gym is different. My targets are different. You know, like it's just all part and parcel. And it's finding that I guess that balance as well. We're not tarring everyone with the same brush. Like Dave's quicker than me. That's fine. Like it doesn't bother me. I'm not
If you I'm afraid to say the dude's name now. Fuck a singer.
Coconut Singh.
Yeah. Versus Anthony Watson for England. There you go. Okay.
Like that's
I
think interesting now. I've seen those different combinations that Ireland had at the weekend. I suppose it's gonna ask a lot of questions. Who do they go with in the front row? Who do they go in the back row? Who do they go in the centres? Have you any thoughts on that? Centres first, or back
centres
three?
first. Bundy Key was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Heavy hipped.
Very heavy.
Man off your own heart.
Yeah.
And just like winning collisions, getting gain lines. He was class. He's probably typically he might have been considered like maybe third or fourth kind of choice centre. He's played so much rugby for Ireland though in the last couple of years, and his performance at the weekend and in Wales last weekend as well. He potentially could be the first choice centre. Henshaw was class as well, and so Ringrose now maybe, I don't know, but maybe because of his utility, because Ringrose, it's a shame that because you can play another position, then you're considered maybe not first choice in your first position. But Bundy and Henshaw is a serious combination in the centre.
Yeah, well, and then you think, because of, unfortunately, Garry's versatility, he's probably going to end up with 23 on his back for most of the games because of where he can go, where he can slot in.
Straight off the bench the weekend, made that brilliant decision to come in off his wing, and like that has something we've missed over the last few weeks. And even though he's not a winger, he had that ability to do it straight away. It was
He's
really
ridiculously good on defence.
He's brilliant. He shoots, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, his like decision making process and like everything and how quick he can do it, what he does, he's fully committal. Like I remember, like having him on inside me, I'm like, this is awesome because when I screw up here, my boy's got me, man. Like it's gonna happen. But and then I just follow him wherever he goes. Like in his communication, his process of eliminate, like he is so good to play outside of.
He's a classy player, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's, even though he's not physically as big, he's slippy. He kind of slips through gaps.
Yeah.
But I think Ringrose is someone like, and it's a shame. It's not a shame, but it's unfortunate from him that
he can still start at 13.
I
and
know,
you can
but
bring someone on and slot him back. It's not like.
But it's less. It's.
I know. It's there's more.
Moving
there's more disruption.
around,
There's more disruption. But
and because Joe's talked about him, his versatility, he actually talked about how he can play 10. Did he?
Yeah.
Which is probably a stretch. Isn't it?
I heard whispers.
No, 10.
10, yeah.
No, it's Carberry's covering 9, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, Carby's played scrum half. He's played scrum half before.
He played.
Which
That was like God talking.
There's another interesting point with Joey, like having surgery and like, I mean, I do wish the best for him, even though he did run west. But I so hope that he can come back and be world class again.
Yeah.
Like I think it'll be huge for Ireland if he's able to come back.
Yeah.
But I like when you talked about like the All Blacks with Moanga and Barrett, like to have Joey Carberry or Johnny either side. That's not being disrespectful to Rob, because obviously Rob is the best 15 that we have. But like it's the exciting option of being able to at some stage in the game have 2 first receivers at that either side of a ruck. That challenge is unbelievable. Yeah. And I thought Joey was phenomenal against Italy. I thought he was his ability to move across the field and then just drop the ball. His transfer time on his passes and on his kicks is phenomenal.
Yeah. Looking really comfy though. Your first game in pre-season, looking as comfortable and fluid as he did is impressive. But it's probably a step up again to look that comfortable after an op, and then no rugby for 6 weeks. It'll be probably. It'll be a challenge for him, but he's obviously very, very talented, I would imagine.
Something you said that stuck with me there, like when you talk about like being able to adapt on the field and structure, like when working with Joey, we'd be coming up with maps and we'd be saying, listen, we see that like this is something that the opposition are doing here, and we reckon that if we stretch them a little bit here and their tail gunner shoots off the line out, that this option could be on for you. And some players will look at it and they'll just go, okay, well that's my only option then. And they'd be like, well, what if this happens? And it's kind of more like they're just seeing the negative in it. Whereas Joey would be like, yeah, I've got that. And if not, then I'll just go to these. He sees everything, Am I articulating myself enough? Yeah. It's because the skill set's of a level that you're not just saying, okay, well, I'm just going to do one thing. You're going to go, well, yeah, I can see that's potentially going to be an option based on the analysis. But if not, if they do plug that hole, then I've got something else.
I think this is kind of what we were talking about earlier on. So people sometimes are critical of Ireland or Irish rugby in general because they think we're quite structured. But I think that structure comes first, like what we were talking about earlier. And then you give guys like Joey or Johnny the ball at the line with a couple of options. If he hits this one, it's more likely we'll get round the corner. If not this one, then we can read that. once you've got the structure, then you can start making those decisions on the go. And I think then you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the end of the show. So I was like,
There we go.
I know, yeah. Anything? Didn't think so.
A quick one on the back row. Interesting, putting CJ in 6, Conan in 8. Few people kind of maybe saying Conan hasn't snatched the opportunity like people would hope him to do. But my opinion is he's doing enough. He's a footballer. He's more of a natural 8. CJ, when you look at the best number 8s in the world, they are like the Kieran Reeds, the Vunipolas, the guys, the real natural footballers. CJ seems to be coming into his own over the last few weeks when they've stuck him in 6 and say, you just go out and do damage, man, and just work your ass off.
Yeah,
you take like that responsibility off him. You know what I mean?
It looked like he had a little bit of a point to prove.
Oh, he was
I thought
unreal.
he looked so physical, didn't he?
Yeah.
He looked up for it, yeah.
Yeah, I thought. I
That's
thought.
when didn't he first come here? He was more of a 6 than an 8, if I remember correctly.
Possibly, yeah. I think you might be right. Yeah. Well, I think they just need to give Jack Conan some game time, and I thought he did pretty well. I don't think there was. The guy who stood out for me in the back row was Van der Fleer with his acceleration is phenomenal.
He's a freak.
Yeah, if you go back and watch the game and just watch it, how much pressure he puts on the first receiver and forces the pass to be played early, and how quickly he can close the space from when a tackle occurs to being the first guy in there to just freeing up that ball. I thought that was important because Ireland don't have if Ireland needed to have someone say, well, there's our 7, and I think that he did that. I thought Conan played pretty well. He's a massive power athlete off the back of the scrum. I thought CJ is a guy who posts big numbers, massive work rate. I thought it was like going from the horror show that was losing to England to beating the Grand Slam champions back to back and going into the World Cup ranked number 1. It's a great response. I thought Rhys Ruddock was mean when he came on, man. His impacts. I remember he got his first. Did he get his first cap for Ireland when he was like 19 or something like that? When we were in New Zealand.
He came out then after the Under-20s World Cup, didn't he?
And he was like a man-child.
Yeah.
So I forget like that he's just been around so long.
Yeah. It's interesting that the back row debate is like it's all up for grabs now, isn't it? Because CJ went well at 6, then what do you do? Like Josh was unbelievable, but then you got Pete to come bring back in there.
Pete's the line-out option, man. Like I think.
How can you drop Josh, or how not drop? How can you?
I'm looking at it and I go like Josh Van der Fleer. If he plays like that, you just got to have. Pete's going to give you line out, and he's going to give you like he can make. He's not going to post huge numbers work rate wise, but he can have big moments. Yeah. And in the line out, honestly, he's as good a line out jumper as you'll come across in World Rugby. He's so quick off the ground, and that's somewhere where Ireland have. If you're going to be critical of them, their contesting line-out has been really poor. They've given teams ball, middle back, and back ball as well, and then that just puts you under the pump so much defensively because teams have got the ball in 2 short passes and they're attacking outside your 13. So I think that's somewhere that they can improve, and Pete will give them that. I think then it's kind of coming down with between CJ and Jack. I think there's a lot of trust built up in CJ. I thought Jack Conan did well at the weekend. It was. He managed the scrum pretty well just up till the very last scrum. He managed his control of the base.
It might not just be one against the other. It might be if you're playing against. I suppose they're both play with a bit of pace and a bit of width. But comparatively, Scotland's going to be more physical. Japan's probably going to be more less attritional, kind of play more width. That might suit Jack, whereas Scotland might suit CJ.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily one is better than the other. They're just different.
Realistically, we I can't wait to see how Joe manages the players through the pools to see, because we should get to knockout stages, and it's knowing that having everyone fit going into the knockout, whether it's the All Blacks or the Box, and then you see just go from there. But we should get through it. I know there's Japan isn't going to be a walk in the park either, and Samoa is going to be guys trying to take your head off.
Yeah. James, tell us about Josh, because Josh was on the show.
Van der Fleer.
Yeah.
Was he
such a
sparkling teeth and looking as good as ever? Mate, he was actually one of the first. When I first got here, he was he was injured with something with his ankle, and he welcomed me into Leinster with open arms.
He's sickeningly nice, isn't he?
Oh man, he's someone like if I had a daughter, he can marry her, like sort of thing. If I wasn't with my girlfriend, I'd give like he is that. He's such a nice person. He's too nice for his own good.
Yeah.
Man, but he's.
But man, if you have a daughter, he's going to be like 20 years older now, which is going to be creepy.
And especially if he is going out with your missus and that's for your daughters.
This is like figurative. Like, I'm trying to say how nice he is. You guys are bagging Josh now. No, he is such a nice dude, and he's so process driven. Like, at the start of the game, before the game, all he's thinking in his head is that I'm getting off the line because that's what they want me to do. Yeah. That's going to be the best thing for it. And now everyone's talking about it, and like when everyone starts coming into form and they see Josh, like you follow the leader, you see Josh getting off the line and everyone else is getting off the line with him. And when it comes down to big moments and big games, and if they come up against the All Blacks and Rich Mwangi gets a ball and he's got Josh in front of him, like options are all being cut out. Like all he's going to be able to do is give it to him. He's not going to go out the back to Barrett or Crotty, he's thorough, he's professional, he's reliable, isn't he?
He's so professional and his approach is so mature for such a young fella coming in that there was a vote in camp, and it was like vote for a senior player squad, but there was criteria in round, just reliability, who's most professional, who kind of really commits the most, and it was O'Mahony's, Sexton, Rory Best, Murray. I think Josh was like the next. He got the next highest votes. So like that's the way he's thought of in the team.
Mr. Perfect.
He is.
Yeah, he's too perfect, man, for his own good.
Yeah.
There's a vote for. That's interesting to me. You guys vote for senior players in the squad.
Yeah.
And they campaign.
Putting up flyers.
Coffee.
We had that at Leinster this year, and predominantly because. With the understanding that so many people were going to be out with the World Cup, there's 20 new people, well, not quite, but like there's a whole load of new young fellas, and after a month of on-pitch training, like everyone sort of sat down and you put down who you thought. Obviously they stand out, the older boys, it's your Scott Fardy, Ed Byrne, Ross Maloney, Jamison, like they are on-field leaders, and Leo kind of put it to the team just so then you're not just it's not just Leo's best mates, and I mean everyone's on the same page.
How'd you rank?
I was rehabbing, unfortunately, but I'm the captain of the rehab group at the moment. Unfortunately, it's not a group you want to be a part of. So, but no, trust me, I actually went through a phase of trying to break physios. I was getting so bored in there. Because they always have to have their time off, but I'm always kind of like a constant just because of the long-term injury, and I've broken too.
As in, like you've annoyed them so much, you've retired, like or
not quite retired, but I've broken. I've had
tears.
No, not quite tears, but like sit down talks, and in my head I'm just going, gotcha. But yeah, it's water under the bridge.
I want you on my campaign.
Yeah.
My fucking team.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, look, we've talked plenty of rugby, I think. We might come back after the break with a black and white.
Right, it's time for black and white. Everyone knows a pint of Guinness is the perfect opportunity to bring friends together, but on this black and white, we have a statement that's so contentious it's going to tear the House of Rugby apart. I have in this envelope for Barry and for Trimby a statement. Barry is going to argue pro, and Trimby is going to argue against.
Okay.
Rugby was a better game when the jerseys were baggy. Barry, you've got 60 seconds. Pat's on the clock. You're going to argue for rugby was a better sport when the jerseys were baggy.
Okay. Do you remember when we were younger and you would?
No.
It was okay to wear. He's not allowed to talk. This is bullshit. When it was okay to wear rugby jerseys, like you can't as an adult really wear. Oh, I suppose some people do. I don't anyway. But
Pat would wear rugby jerseys.
He would, I suppose, yeah. But like when you were younger,
You're losing here, Barry.
it didn't matter whether they were baggy or like nowadays it was way more inclusive back then. Like they're so skin tight now. If you're a bit on the chunky side, you can't really wear fucking skin tight jerseys. So everyone expects like it would be perfect specimens in the rugby jersey, whereas like back in the day, all big fellas could wear them, and for children, I had a jersey. What's name? Frank Bunce. Apparently, I might have had his jersey when I was like 10. It had a 12 on the back. It was an All Blacks jersey, but it came down to my knees. But then I grew with it. So when I got to like 18, 19, it was then kind of still pretty big, but kind of fit me in.
Time.
So you're saving money.
No,
Families are saving money because they're
Trimby,
growing.
this is an open goal. This is an open goal.
Okay. So
Against.
anyway, so tickets for the Aviva to go and see Ireland play are €90. Do I want to pay €90 and go and see someone fat play for Ireland? No. I want to maintain the integrity of Irish rugby, of rugby in general. I want to go and watch skinny, ripped men play rugby, crucially. Yeah, I'd rather a foreigner play for Ireland than a fat man play for Ireland.
Yeah, but this is a fat man as well.
Fat foreigner. What about a fat foreigner?
That's very humble of you. But anyway, shut up. I want the integrity of rugby to maintain intact, and I want to see the physical specimens that are representing Ireland.
Remember when you could cut off the sleeves?
I did like that. I must say I did like that.
Peter
Tuck the collar in.
Clossy.
Tuck the collar in.
Tuck the
To
collar
look even
in.
tougher.
But anyway, that's it. That's it. Shut up. That's it. That's my point.
Yep, perfect.
Okay.
Right on the button as well. Well done.
James,
It's
your
tough.
thoughts?
It's I understand both points.
More inclusive, money, saving money,
Yeah,
saving money for families.
Ripped non-foreigners.
And fat foreigners.
yeah.
I think on this one, I'm going to go with Trimby.
Fuck's sake.
Sorry, Baz.
It's all right.
And I'm going to position it here
Why is
on
that?
top because there's no blue tack.
Cutbacks.
Congratulations.
Production error.
Thanks.
All right, that's us. Thanks everybody for listening on all your favorite apps, and for those of you watching on YouTube, hello. Thanks to everyone that was involved in organising the show this week, to Pat, Alan, Diarmid and Anthony, to Jerry, to Trimby, to James. Thanks a million for coming in. We really appreciate it, man. And best of luck for the season. Can't wait to see you back in the jersey. This has been Baz and Andrews, House of Rugby, here on Joe, together with Guinness. Party on.
Party on.